Delighted to be here in India, delighted to be here in Mumbai, and delighted to be here at CloudFest this morning. And we're going to cover a few topics, and we've already touched on these in the few introductions we've already had. The growth of independent ventures to power the world's economy. We're going to talk about where the world is going from here, where the technology trends are going, and how do we tap into that. We're going to talk about some of the work that GoDaddy is doing to help independent ventures become successful and take ideas from inception to reality and create online presence with the help of many of you. And we're going to talk about India and how does India play a role in the growing global economy. And we have a wonderful example actually here in the room that you'll get to meet in a little bit. And when I think about entrepreneurs, I think about the opportunity to build businesses. It starts with someone who has the courage to take that first step. And so Puneet Thakur, back in 1997, had an idea that if you took businesses and brought them online, you would see those businesses grow. And so he created a new company that's done spectacularly well, Shivami Cloud Services. Back in 1997, one person here in Mumbai. Today he has dozens of employees in 6 cities across India. He has thousands of happy customers because he had the courage to take that first step. He's been able to build a business that's brought literally thousands of businesses in India online. So we're going to talk through the world's global economy. We're going to talk through some of the work GoDaddy is doing, and we're going to talk through India in particular. I'm going to make a statement. I'm going to make a statement that independent ventures, meaning small businesses, community organizations, local government groups, are those firms that are powering employment around the world. Can I see a show of hands? How many of you are a founder of your own business? How many of you have founded a business? How many of you are currently, I'll keep your hands up. In addition, how many people currently are working in a business with 50 or fewer employees? Can I see hands? Okay. So when you think about that, so I'm looking and the lights are bright, but it looks about half of the audience is either a founder, a leader of a business, or currently working in what I would consider to be a small business here in India. When you read the newspapers, when you read the global press, how much press do you see about the larger companies like GoDaddy or Google or Microsoft or others? How much press do we see from those firms versus from the firms that you all work in? Is it equal, not equal? What do you read? Is it more or less? How many firms in the small size get press versus big firms? Anyone more for big or more for little? I can't hear you. Say again. Bigger? Okay. So at least when I read the press, I see a tremendous amount written in case studies in business schools about larger firms, but I don't think that matches reality. So let's take a look at what's actually happening in today's world from an employment perspective. So there are about 7.5 billion people worldwide, obviously over 1 billion people here in India. Of those 7.5 billion people, how many of them are in the global workforce? Well, it turns out about 3.5 billion people are working worldwide. There are 500 companies in the Fortune 500. How many employees do you think the Fortune 500 has out of that 3.5 billion people? I'd love to hear some numbers. Just shout them out. There's no right answer to this. I happen to know what the answer is, but of the 3.5 billion people working in the world today, how many of them are in the Fortune 500? 100 million? I heard 100 million. All right. Higher or lower than 100 million? Lower. Anyone higher? Higher? Lower? As a percentage of the 3.5 billion working people, you'd think, well, maybe 100 million would seem like a good idea. It's actually less than 1% of the global working population is in the Fortune 500. Less than 30 million people globally work for a Fortune 500 company. So let's think about that for 1 second. 30 million people out of 3.5 billion are in Fortune 500s, and yet the world talks so much more about these larger firms, these branded firms. And let's add one more statistic to this concept of powering the global economy and independent ventures. There are roughly 500 million people that are going to be entering the workforce in the next decade. Another 500 million people. If I were to think about adding 500 million people and getting them hired into the Fortune 500, you need 1 million people per Fortune 500 company in order to absorb that number of new employees. Given there are only 28 million that work there today. I don't think that's going to happen. So how will we find jobs? How will jobs be created for the next 500 million people in the workforce? I would argue we're going to have to find a way to bring them into independent ventures around the world. So if 30 million people out of 3.5 billion are working in Fortune 500s, where is everybody else? Well, given the audience in this room and the number of you that raised your hands about the importance of small business and the fact that you're powering small businesses, the answer, of course, is independent ventures. And it's important not just from the economic impact, not just because we can give people a job, we can give them financial stability, but when you have local small businesses, ventures that start locally and grow globally, you find that you get grounded to the community. You find that, in fact, you have not just the economic value, but you have the passion and the motivation and the benefit of being an owner, of being in something that you can deliver for that customer. And so you see an economic benefit, and you see a motivation benefit and a connection into the local economies you don't get with larger firms. So you see multiple benefits of having an independent venture. And when I think then about this 3.5 billion people, the 500 million, so there are 500 million independent ventures today, when we go back to my stat a moment ago, 500 million additional workers coming into the global workforce over the next couple of years, all we need is one additional employee at each one of these companies, and we can absorb that work. So when we think about how the future will unfold, how do independent ventures drive growth in the global economy, how do we create meaningful work for people here in India and abroad, it is through independent ventures. And one of the things that we as technologists need to figure out a way to help these ventures be successful is to get them online. So when you look at these 500 million independent ventures, only 50% have an online presence. So when I think about the data that shows the size of the global economy, and again, we heard this just a few minutes ago, the number of small businesses that are generating jobs, roughly half of the GDP in most of the emerging and developing economies come from small businesses. And yet we know that if a business is online, they grow faster, they're more successful, they're more likely to stay in business, becoming an online venture, becoming a venture that has a website, a social media presence, the ability to transact, whether you're a product-based business or a service-based business. Those interactions make the businesses more likely to succeed. It gives them the opportunity to grow. It gives them the opportunity to hire more people and make their customers delighted. So I'm now going to shift from talking about the framework around the importance of independent ventures to the idea that if only half of them are online today, are the changes in the technology trends going to help or hurt those small businesses getting online? So there are 5 different trends that I'm going to touch on. So the first trend is mobile and social platforms and the growth in the opportunity to get online, not just by building a website, but by, here in India, certainly having an ability to connect with customers on WhatsApp, having an ability to find customers on Instagram, having an ability to interact with customers on Facebook. Certainly all 3 of those are critical social platforms here in India, and globally, depending upon the country you're in, it's those plus a few more like WeChat. The question when you're a small business owner and you look at these trends is that making my life easier or is that making my life harder? And the answer, of course, is it's a little bit of both. So as a small business owner, as a venture, you need to be discovered on these platforms. At the same time, I have to find a way to get my own brand to be discoverable and to be consistently represented in these different mobile and social platforms. And I already have limited staff and limited time, which we'll talk about in a moment. So mobile and social platforms are critically important in the evolution of how ventures get found. Consumers are adopting these platforms in massive numbers. Globally, over 1 billion folks on Facebook. Instagram is getting close to 1 billion. And when we think about the opportunity for a venture to get found and build a consistent online presence, mobile and social platforms are clearly a piece of how I communicate and how I get discovered. But it's a double-edged sword for most of these ventures. The second key trend that will impact the online presence and the ability for these businesses to become successful is the growth of artificial intelligence and machine learning. And these are two trends that lots of people are thinking about: autonomous cars. They're thinking about, how do I get work done? But it's actually affecting all parts of life. I have a friend of mine in Silicon Valley who has created an AI-powered microwave. How many folks have a microwave at home that you think cooks food well? Yeah, my microwave doesn't cook food well at all. It heats up parts of it to be too hot, makes the food kind of taste bad. It's not a great experience. So my friend has built a company, the product name is Level, and what he's done is used a combination of smart sensors, visual heat sensing on the food, and you can put a plate in the microwave with multiple foods on it. It's programmed to recognize what food it is, what temperature should the food be, and then through continuous feedback with machine learning algorithms, changes the microwave bands so that the food gets to the right temperature. So when you think about the opportunity for artificial intelligence and machine learning, that microwave actually isn't displacing people. What I often hear about when I talk to people about artificial intelligence and machine learning is the replacement of people. I think we should use artificial intelligence and machine learning to augment people. How do we make people's judgment better? How do we use machines and data to improve decisions that we make, to improve the delivery of services, not replace the employees that are working so hard to make customer experiences better? So I think that's one of those key tensions as we think about independent ventures. How do we use machine learning, data, and artificial intelligence to make people better versus to replace people? Third key trend, new forms of input. So I'll talk in a few moments about how India has a tremendous growth coming of people who are bringing smartphones online and becoming part of the online community. Voice and touch as two forms of input, and in China we've seen this as well. The rise of voice as an input dramatically expands the number of people who are comfortable using technology like search, using the ability to interact with content online. So I don't have to type, I can speak. I don't have to type, I can touch. And so new forms of input are going to dramatically raise the number of devices that are connected and that I can interact with. And when I think about the opportunity for a small business owner or an independent venture to use these new forms of input, they're going to need help. How does their content get discovered? How do I interact with someone who isn't typing in for their search, but instead using visual or auditory cues? Distributed infrastructure, I'll probably skip that because I think all of us here today are familiar with the cloud and how is data moving from on-prem to the cloud. The ability to have Internet of Things is a well-trod path. And then finally, security. GDPR goes into effect in 2 days in Europe. There's tremendous number of announcements about how companies are changing their security policy, changing their privacy policy. We are now moving from security as something that has been bought or sold to security as a right of individuals. My data is mine. The right to be forgotten, the ability for individuals to have ownership over their own data. I think this is a trend that we're going to see accelerate globally over the next few years. And as we think about that impact on small businesses, how do they stay on the right side of both the principle and the right side of any laws that come into play? How do they protect their data? How will they collect data from their customers and make sure that data is used for their customers' benefit over time? These are 5 trends that I think will impact our ability to deliver services globally, and in particular in India. What's not changing, though? There are a couple of trends that are, despite all this technological change and advancement, that have not changed and I do not think will change. The first is when you think about building great outcomes for customers as a venture or as a partner working with a small business, you're always having to put the customer at the center. When you think about the ability to make someone happy, you need to understand that customer. You need to give them what they're asking for. That requires customer centricity. The second is the importance of your own brand. If you're building your future based on your name, your company reputation as a founder, as an owner, if you're working with independent ventures and helping them get online, they need to have control over their brand. Whether that's their domain name, their website, or a social media presence. How do you connect those dots so that that brand is still owned by that individual? Third, technology needs to be affordable. As more money is being spent on R&D, as new products come to market, the prices can't continue to go up. We need to find ways to make the broad adoption of technology within reach of everyone, and that can include both the technology and the services on top. How do we ensure these technologies stay affordable and keep everyone in the boat as we drive technology adoption going forward? And of course, the number of hours in a day, the last time I checked, there's still 24 hours. So when I think about all of these new things that I have to learn as a technologist, all these new things our customers need to learn, how do we make it simple? How do we make it easy? How do we equip people to learn these without requiring them to get less and less sleep or spend less and less time with their family and friends? So 24 hours in a day, if anyone's invented a machine that can expand the length of a day, come find me. I'd be happy to invest. All right, so those are the trends, what's changing, what's not changing. Now let's bring this to India. And one of the amazing statistics from my perspective is while the growth of the Indian population continues, the number of people that are coming online is growing even faster. So there are roughly 400 million people in India that are connected today. In 2.5 short years, that's going to be 650 million people. Almost all of those individuals, all these consumers, will be connected on a smartphone. So as opposed to the United States, where I grew up in the technology era from the 1990s through now, when we all started on desktop computers, we started with the searching literally with a device in front of us. The way that India is coming online is through smart devices, through Android phones, primarily through iOS. So if you've got almost half the population online all coming through a phone that's going to have voice input, a phone that's going to have visual input, how do we take advantage of that as people who are working with independent ventures, as people who are delivering services to independent ventures to bring these consumers the best possible products and services when, unfortunately, today, you still have 2/3 of India businesses offline. And not a little bit offline, like totally not findable. We're seeing some interesting innovation around directories to help the independent ventures here in India become findable. But of the 61 million businesses, as Soren talked earlier, there are fewer than 5 million domains. The number of people that are on social media as a business is growing significantly, but unfortunately it's still well short of this, what will be 60 million businesses here in India. I think that's collectively our job. For those of you in the audience, we would love for you all to find ways to use technology, to use your services to bring these ventures who are wondering, why should I be on the internet? Why should I have a social presence? Well, we can answer those questions. In fact, what I've heard in talking to India businesses, both personally, talking to our team here at GoDaddy India, and doing surveys of thousands of local businesses in Mumbai, in Chennai, in Delhi, and other cities, both Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 cities, we've heard three things. Why should I be online now? What benefit will this bring to me? Why is this going to be something that I need to do today and spend my time and my money to get online? I think there's some answers to that I'll talk about in a moment, but that is the first thing we hear. My business is doing fine. Why do I need to be on the internet today? The second thing, I don't know how to do it. It's going to be hard. I'm not certain I have the skills to do it. Again, this is an opportunity, certainly in India, to bring education, training, and your own services on top of what would be an online service. So perceive lack of time and skill. And then the third is, can I afford it? So will this be expensive? Is this something that is worth, if I don't believe there's benefit, should I even spend time or money on it? What's interesting is when we talk to businesses that have already come online, we're hearing the benefits are there. We're hearing that my business is now findable on the open web and on social platforms. In fact, what we've seen is businesses that come online are growing much faster than the businesses that are offline. So we're finding that businesses that come online are growing much faster, double-digit percentages faster than those businesses who are offline. The second thing we've heard is that businesses that come online through a social platform, through conversations on WhatsApp, through an Instagram presence or through Facebook pages, they also want control of their own brand online. We've seen as we talk to these business owners, help me build that brand, help me connect on my own terms to my customers and to my prospects. We also hear that I need help. I don't want to become the expert. I have someone who I need to trust that can bring my business, bring my independent venture from offline to online, which is a lot of what you all do every day. How do I bring your expertise, how do I bring your capabilities to these independent ventures and bring them the skill and the capabilities, show them what you're capable of to bring these independent ventures to life on the internet. And finally, over time, think about the range of services that these businesses want. Some things they will wind up being comfortable to do themselves. Great, let's give that to the independent ventures to do. In other cases, they're going to need an expert. How do you make sure your services are built in a way that you can deliver both do it yourself and do it for me services over time? And I'll talk a little bit more about some of that continuum in a moment. So that's what we're hearing from businesses coming online. The reason that we know so much about this market is that what GoDaddy does is help these independent ventures first get a great name. Find a name, find the right name for them, whether it's a .com, whether it's a .in. How do I get the name that represents my business and helps me build my own brand? The second thing that we do is bring that name to life, whether that's having a developer or designer build that site for the small business, or the small business owner builds it for him or herself. So bring that name to life. A domain is only useful, unless you're a domain investor, for individuals who want to get found on the internet. And then finally, over time, make sure that those services stay with the independent venture as they grow. Help me with the marketing, help me with communications, help me secure that venture and that data over time. So these are the types of services that GoDaddy provides, and that has led us to be the leader in India. So one of the things I'm super excited about, and in fact on the back of my shirt, the 1 million customer mark here in India. So we started 5 years ago with a local presence. We have a team in Gurgaon, we have a team in Hyderabad, and what we've been doing is building services in the India market for the India market. We have local care so that both the pros, the developers, designers can talk to a GoDaddy customer care person live, and the small business owner can talk to us if that's something that the small business owner needs, additional help. We have become the #1 market share leader for both .com and .in over the last 5 years from a standing start. And we enable resellers, we enable pros, and we call a web professional someone who's a designer or developer doing work for an independent venture and helping them get online and growing over time. And we've begun our reach beyond Tier 1 into Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities through resellers and through advertising in local markets. So I'm really proud of the work our team has done. You'll hear from Nikhil Arora after I'm finished, and he'll talk with you all and a couple of our resellers who are helping this growth happen. So let me share with you an ad we recently ran here in the India market.
सर मुकेश जी का पेमेंट ब्लॉक हो गया
आपके पेपर चेक करने पड़ेंगे।
वेबसाइट चलाने में सर कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगी। बिजनेस में हिचकियां आएंगी, पर GoDaddy के सिक्योरिटी, स्पीड और 24/7 कस्टमर केयर के साथ वेबसाइट होस्ट करने में हिचकिचाना कैसा? GoDaddy को आज ही फोन लगाएं।
So we've been running spots like this in India now for 5 years, and what we're doing is building the market. We're seeding the market with the idea that ventures need to be online, and this fellow in the green shirt talking to the business owner, the designer, the builder here, is a representative of the importance of resellers, the importance of both getting online and getting online with a partner. So we'll continue to do this type of work and make sure that small businesses find the help they need. And one of the things that's really important in what we're seeing here in India and around the world is the rise of WordPress. So for those of you who are familiar with WordPress, thank you for the help in building the community. WordPress is now the leading content management system globally. We see this in our data in India. We see this data in every other market in which we operate, that WordPress is much bigger than any other content management system on the planet today. What GoDaddy is doing is building expertise and services on top of WordPress. So we're building in the platforms for managed WordPress and WordPress as a service on top of our own private servers that I'll share with you in a moment. We have WordPress-specific care, and we're building products and services that allow a professional, whether it's a designer or developer, to efficiently manage WordPress across all of your different sites. In fact, what I'm going to do is share with you an experience. I'll walk through a demo here on stage of me acting as a developer named Jake Plains. He'll be based here in Mumbai, and since it's Wednesday are the days that I update my clients' websites. And so what I'm going to do is walk through in 4 minutes work that would have taken me over an hour to do on my own. So I'm logging into my GoDaddy account. It's here in India directly, and I go right into my GoDaddy Pro account. You can see me click here on GoDaddy Pro, go into Pro Sites, and I instantly get a dashboard of all of my clients. So in this case, I'm going to see multiple websites that are running WordPress, and what I'm going to see is that they're all backed up, secure, performant, got good uptime, and all of their themes and plugins need updating. Instead of doing it manually, I'm going to use a tool called Bulk Safe Update. We automatically back up the WordPress websites, we automatically update the themes and plugins, and that is done in the background while I can go do more work. So while that's happening, I'm going to go in and run a site report for one of my other clients. So in this case, Gaurav is one of my clients, and I'm going to let him know that in the last month, I've done a bunch of work on his behalf. So I'm going to create a report inside of GoDaddy Pro Sites. I'm going to send it to him in Marathi, so the site's going to show up in his local language, and it's going to be for the last 30 days. And it's going to talk about the updates and the backups and the uptime of that site. And this is really important when I send this to him for the month of April, because I want to get paid for the work that I'm doing on behalf of my client. I need to show my client all of the benefits every month that I deliver, in this case to Gaurav. So I've got the report ready to go. I'm going to download it to my PC, and then I'm going to email it to Gaurav. And again, the reason this is so important is that I don't want to only get paid when I build him the site. I want to get paid for keeping the site up to date. There's real value I'm adding as a web professional over time. So say, hey Gaurav, here are the updates I made in the last month to your WordPress site. Thank you so much. I look forward to working with you going forward, and thank you so much for sending the check for the April services that I provided. So I send that email, and I notice another email has come in from another client. Shabashish has actually sent me an update to his website. He wants a new image on the home screen. So you'll notice here, I'm still inside of the GoDaddy Pro Sites, and I can just instantly switch between the site that Gaurav had and the site that Shabashish had. And this site happens to be updated automatically by the GoDaddy Pro Sites, so that's delightful. I don't have to do any more work there. And I'm going to go directly into the WP Admin Console from Pro Sites, and I'm going to bring that image I just downloaded and make it the homepage image on this Barclays Supply site. So again, I'm doing all of this while in the background, the rest of my client sites are updating. So I'm going to change out the homepage image. I'm going to upload the image I just brought onto my laptop. And now I've got this great new image. Instead of the scissors, I'm going with a paper look on the supply company. I think that looks good. Crop this image. And now I'm going to upload it and publish the site. So one of the beautiful things about this is I'm now adding value to my clients. Thank you, Shabashish, for sending that email to me. It's now updated. All of this is happening while the rest of my client sites are being worked on automatically by the GoDaddy Pro Sites tool. So why I'm so excited about this and to bring this tool to India is that my site is up to date, the sites of my rest of my clients are up to date, and what's beautiful is that I can see instantly I have no more work to do, and I can go spend the rest of my day as a developer and designer finding my next client, delivering value to that client. And now you can see while we were doing that work, all the rest of my sites that I'd started at the beginning of the demo have just finished updating. So what's really exciting about this is when I talk to web pros, I've heard that less than 10% of developers and designers use an automated update tool for WordPress. That's a lot of time wasted. Every site that we try to update manually means between 15 minutes and 30 minutes of manual updates that I can't spend doing work and growing my business. So that's a key piece of when I think about how GoDaddy is bringing value to designers and developers. We have 3 new products as well I'm going to talk about today. And I'll just tease these for you with the hope that you then go to our booth afterwards and learn more.
A virtual private server hits the sweet spot between shared and dedicated hosting. Much more versatile and powerful than a shared hosting account, it offers many of the capabilities and features of a dedicated server, including administrator or root access and dedicated IP address. On a shared server, you rely on the performance of the platform provided. When you choose VPS, you select a configuration best suited for your applications, requirements, and growth. Powerful and versatile, our VPSs are fueled by the latest generation Intel processors and offer unmetered bandwidth to handle anything your business throws their way. It's scalable enough to handle your demands as your business grows. And with 99.9% guaranteed uptime, you don't have to worry about your site being down. VPS hosting makes it possible to isolate multiple applications from one another within the same container. While this VPS container shares physical resources, infrastructure, with other containers, its resources are dedicated to you. The latest generation of GoDaddy virtual private servers are available across multiple data centers, including Singapore. We've also added crucial features like high-performance SSDs, plus OpenStack platform and KVM virtualization for more speed and agility. So, it probably takes several hours to get up and running, right? Nope. When you choose GoDaddy VPS, you'll be in business in no time. With our super fast provisioning, we'll have your hosting server set up and ready to rock in minutes. That goes for upgrading your plan too. You can do that at any time without having to re-provision. Worried about losing your work? We've got you covered on the backup front too. Everything gets backed up and restoration is fast and easy. It's fast and easy to restore your data. If you have questions or need guidance, our expert, best in the industry support is available 24/7.
So I'm really excited about this next generation of virtual private server. You can talk to our team outside. There are two things I want to highlight. One of these ideas that we want to help you get more work done as a reseller or as a venture is you can go from wanting a new site spun up in a VPS to having a control panel and provisioned in under 5 minutes. And the second thing we're finding is the speed of delivery given SSDs and the tuning we've done is the page load times are dramatically faster than a previous generation. So we're very excited about this. We launched it first here in India, and it's a commitment from us to the India market that we're going to bring innovations like this to the local market. The second new product that's coming, and I talked about WordPress, we have a new pro-managed WordPress offering that's coming later this year. We can have you all go to our booth and sign up for the beta that'll come out later this year. And this is really important because it's both the WordPress capability, the tools on top of WordPress, like the pro sites I demoed a moment ago, and a bunch of automated and secure tools that sit on top of WordPress. So again, for me, some of the really important pieces are not just WordPress itself, but all the tools you can use to manage your business on top of WordPress. And then finally, how can we bring our tools, our capabilities to you as potential resellers and build a new big revenue stream on top of both what GoDaddy is doing to drive the brand and awareness inside of India and the tool set that comes with that. So the opportunity today is build new customizable storefronts with WordPress plugins that we've adopted directly for you all to make your site look and feel your own, but still sell GoDaddy products. The ability to delegate the connection to your clients so that you can have a relationship that's working with multiple clients and it's clear who's paying the bills and who's doing the work. And then we have a Plesk starter hosting package that's coming up and multiple services that are coming day in, day out. Literally almost every week new things are coming onto this platform. So we'd love for you to come talk to our team. They're in the back. Please visit the booth for special offers and to learn more. If you're not a reseller of GoDaddy today, we have new very special offers of a first year free to come join us as a new reseller at GoDaddy. So in conclusion, I wanted to highlight a few things I mentioned. Number one, the world is dependent upon independent ventures for its growth, and India is a leader in bringing the world online. Second, we continue at GoDaddy to invest in the India market. We will be here for the long term. We will be here investing in our services, in our products, in our brand, and we want to bring you all along with us in that success. And finally, in the extent that you have ideas for us, we'd love to hear them. So we're going to be at the booth all day. Thank you so much for your time. We wish you great success. Thank you.